our next flight takes off at 8:45. We're not gonna make it. Hi guys, and welcome back to another Wine Wednesday video. I'm all cozy in my comfy pajamas. I have my winter blanket. I'm sitting next to my little mini tree in my room, and I have the rest of this. It's the Arbor Mist Pink Moscato and Pineapple Strawberry. I just poured the rest of that, and I'm here to tell you about the worst trip, the worst flight, the worst 3 days of my life that happened this past October. So October 5th through the 8th, I had plans to go to Nashville, Tennessee with Shy, Megan, and Courtney. It was going to be a little girls trip. Katie and Cassie couldn't come because of like work and everything. And then Cassie was starting a new job, so she couldn't get the time off. So it was just us 4 girls. We had this planned for a few months. And like I was excited to go. It was the first girls trip that I've had, I think, ever. Like I've been on vacation with my friends like back in high school and stuff, like with their parents and everything. So this was like my first ever girls trip, and I was really excited to go. We booked this, like I said, I think back in June. So fast forward to the end of August. I had just gotten back from Jamaica. I landed in the airport in, I think I was in DC. I landed and my dad's phone was on airplane the whole time. Long story short, when my dad turned his phone off of airplane mode when we got back in the United States, he found out that his father was in the hospital. So my grandfather, he had cancer for a few years, and it was pretty bad. I'm not going to get into it, but we did not know he was that sick. He ended up having a reaction to this treatment. It wasn't chemo or radiation. It was this other like experimental treatment, and basically just shut his body down. So he couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he couldn't breathe on his own, he couldn't move anything, he couldn't open his eyes, anything. So he was in the hospital. So like I said, we found out when we got back from Jamaica. He was doing a lot better over the next like few weeks. The next month he was starting to get his strength back. He could open his eyes, he could whisper, he could write to you. He couldn't yet walk, but they were going to send him to rehab in Massachusetts, and they were going to like help him walk and talk again. Like I said, he could whisper, he could open his eyes, but he just didn't have the strength to do anything else at that point. The reaction he had like shut down his nervous system. I don't know a lot of the details, but that is what I do know. So like I said, he was doing a lot better. This was like September-ish. And then in October, I think it was the 3rd. Yeah, my brother's birthday was the 2nd, so it was, I think, the 3rd that they said for everybody to hurry up and to get to the hospital. So I was at work. My mom works at the same school as me, so she came up to the classroom that I was in teaching and said like, we have to go see Grandpa. So I knew it wasn't going to be good, so I went and we saw him. Basically his body was just shutting down, and it was going to take a lot more to get him to live. So they decided to start taking him off all of the machines and everything, so he would just pass away. So the next day on the 4th, we went and we said goodbye to him, and at this point I was not wanting to go on vacation. I texted my friend saying, you know, my grandfather's not going to make it. I don't know if I can go on the vacation, whatever. I had insurance for the flights, so I would have been good for that, but the hotel, I would have just paid my 4th of the hotel, which is only, I think, like I don't even know, around $200, I think. So I would have been fine with just giving them the $200 and staying home with my family, but everyone insisted that I go. Like I said, I went and said bye to my grandfather. They're going to take him off the machines. I didn't want to be there for that part, so I just wanted to say goodbye and get out of there. And that's like the part that was so hard for me, because I knew like this is the last time I'm going to see my grandfather. And I'm someone who's really close to my family. I've never went through a stage where like I didn't want to hang out with my family. I always love having family time. I love spending time with my family. I'm close to both my mom's side and my dad's side of the family, and they're both close with each other as well, so we're just a very close family. And it was just so hard because I knew like this is the last time I'm ever going to see my grandfather. So that was hard as it is. That was Thursday. They told me, you know, just go on the trip, try to have fun, you know, whatever. I was like, well, I don't want to miss the wake or the funeral. And they're like, Monday was a holiday, it was Columbus Day weekend, that's why we were going away. Not going to have like the wake or the funeral on a holiday. So I was coming back Monday night. They're like, you're fine, you'll make it. You know, just go and have fun, try to get your mind off of it. So, like I said, I was really upset on Thursday. Like, I barely slept Thursday into Friday because that's when they took him off his machines. My dad and his sister spent the night, so I kept waking up and calling. So all night I basically just kept calling my dad for an update on my grandfather, and he was still doing, he was still alive. Obviously he wasn't doing okay, but he was still alive. So Friday I had to go to work. I ended up taking a half day just because I was so like drained, like mentally, physically, I was just drained. I barely got any sleep. I was crying. I was upset. I had to go leave for this vacation now, and I was just so like, I don't know. I feel like I wasn't even in the right mind. I was like all a blur now that like I look back on it. So anyway, I took a half day Friday, and then at I think like 3:30 I left for the airport. I picked up Shy and Megan. We met Courtney at the airport because she had gone right from work, and so we begun the journey to Nashville. We ended up taking American Airlines from from Albany, New York, where we live, to Detroit, Michigan, and then from Detroit, Michigan to Nashville. That was all through American Airlines. So that was all good. It all went smoothly, whatever. We landed in Nashville. We ended up landing in Nashville around 10 o'clock p.m. like Tennessee time, but 11 o'clock p.m. New York time. When we landed in Nashville, and got service again, I received the text that my grandfather had passed away. Like I said, that the hard part was the day before when I knew I had to say goodbye and I would never see him again. So obviously I was upset, but like it really hit me the day before. So I was like, okay, you know, we knew it was coming. Not that it makes it any easier, but anyways, I was just like, I'm going to try to enjoy the trip. I'm here in Tennessee. I have family that lives like 2 hours away in Tennessee, so that made me feel a little bit better. It's my mom's sister and my cousin. They live in Tennessee, so it made me feel a little bit better. They live in Chattanooga, which like I said is about 2 hours away from Nashville. So, you know, I was just gonna enjoy my weekend, so we did. Nashville was not what I expected. I don't think I would go back to Nashville, but it was a fun girls' weekend. This is where the story really starts. So, we were there Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, leaving Monday. Our flight home was, I believe, at like 5:30 p.m. And on the way home, we were flying United Airlines. When I just talked to my travel agent that I booked the cruise through, she was like, I will never, ever, ever book someone through United. She said I had one customer begging me to book through United, and she wouldn't. She's like, they're horrible. So, you know, I already heard the stories about United, but honestly, Megan, shout out, booked the flights for her, Courtney, and Shy, and then I kind of just tagged along, so I booked the same flights. Like, I wasn't even, like, thinking about it. I just, like, took the link that she sent me, and I booked my flights. So, it is, like, 5 o'clock. I think the flight was supposed to board at, like, 5:20. They make an announcement saying the plane's not there. They don't know where the plane is. It's not there. It left the last airport late, and they don't know where the plane is. So we're not leaving on time. So we go up and we tell them, you know, we have to get from Newark. We were going from Nashville, Tennessee, to Newark, New Jersey, to Albany, New York. From Newark to Albany in a plane, less than an hour. To drive, it's about 3 hours. So we tell them, you know, we need to make it because we have a layover. We have to get on the plane at 8:45 in Newark to make it to Albany. He said, oh no, you'll make it. You know, it's only like going to be like 45 minutes late. You'll make it. So we're like, okay. Then we're trying to figure out, and they were like, we're an hour behind in Tennessee. New York time, we're going to get there, landing 8:30 the earliest. Our next flight takes off at 8:45. We're not going to make it. He made it seem like we were going to be there a whole hour early. No. We were going to be there right when the other plane was taking off. So we go and we tell him that, and he's like, oh yeah, like, no, you're not going to make it. So we're like, well, is there anything we can do? Is there another flight? It doesn't have to, like, is there any other flight going to the Albany area? He was like, I can't help you with that. You have to look it up on your phone. So we're trying to look it up on our phone. There's so many people. This is when I start to like get real panicky, and I'm like, I'm going to miss my grandfather's wake. So we're looking up flights. We can't find anything. The guy was like, well, you need to call the United number. We can't help you. Call 1-800 and tell them to refund you for the flight from Newark to Albany, because we weren't going to make it. And so at that point I was like, whatever, that's fine. I called my mom. I was crying at this point. I still had it together, but I was getting upset. I call my mom and I tell her, like, we're not going to make it. They're not helping us. There were no help. They were so rude to us, and they were no help. So I said, you know, we're going to cancel the second leg of the trip home, and can you guys please just pick us up at Newark? Like, I know we're not going to get home till 1 a.m., but I was like, I need to make it home. And I was like, try to find something else. If there's a death in the family, they're supposed to, like, get you a flight home, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Mom, they're not. Like, they would not help us. They're like, oh, you have to call the 1-800 number. Sorry, like, we can't help you here. And we're like, you can't even look up a flight for us? And the guy was like, oh, no, sorry. So then the lady heard that, and I'm like, I cried. I'm like, I'm going to miss my grandfather's wake. I need to get home. And then, so, because the guy, he was like, oh, well, the only thing I see is that if you wait for the, I don't know what he was saying. Basically, the next time that a plane was going to Albany was 2 p.m. the next day. So he was basically saying we had to spend the night in the airport, and that I was basically going to miss my grandfather's wake. And like I said, he was like, sorry, call 1-800, call 1-800. That's all he was saying. So my friend Shy was calling 1-800, canceling the second leg of the trip. So not Nashville to Newark, but Newark to Albany she was canceling. Just wait, just wait. So the other lady that's working for United was like, oh, there's one plane going from here in Nashville to Chicago, Chicago to Albany tonight. You'll land around midnight. I'm like, fine, okay, I'll take that. She's like, oh, it's actually too late. They're leaving in 20 minutes. So whatever, we didn't take that one. The guy was saying the next time we'd get into Albany was 2 p.m. the next day. I was freaking out. So I was like, okay, you know what? I called my mom back. I'm like, there's nothing they can do. Please just pick us up at Newark. I'm like, I just need to get home. I'm not missing my grandfather's wake. So I was like, just pick me up at Newark, please. I was freaking out at this time. I almost got punched by some girl because my luggage broke in Jamaica. Like the thing that, like the terminal thing that brings the luggage around ended up breaking, and my luggage was stuck, and they threw it and they broke my new wheel. So I'm dragging it in Nashville. I'm like crying. I'm on the phone. I hit some girl with my luggage on accident. Didn't know it. She's about to fight me. I'm yelling at her. I'm on the phone crying. Like, it was crazy. So my mom was like, fine, just get on the plane. We'll pick you up. We'll leave now from like Albany where we live and drive to Newark and pick me up, because that was the only way I was going to make it to my grandfather's wake. So, you know, we think everything is fine. We go to scan our ticket to get on. It's about an hour later now. The plane's there. We scan our ticket to board, and they're like, you canceled this flight. No, we did not cancel this part of the flight. We were supposed to have canceled the second leg of this flight. But accidentally, when Shy called that 1-800 number, they canceled the whole return flight instead of the second leg of the flight. So we go back up to the guy who told us to do that, and he was like, oh, well, if you call to cancel the second leg of the flight, they'll just cancel the whole thing. you just told us to go all and cancel it. And he knew the whole time that they were going to cancel the whole thing and that we would have to rebook it. He didn't tell us that. He just told us to go out and cancel the second part, and they canceled the whole thing. So at this part, I was really like, I was full-blown having a panic attack in the airport. Like, it was horrible, worst experience. I'm not even kidding you when I say this was the worst experience of my life, like, ever. So finally, like, I couldn't even call the 1-800 number. I was just, like, hyperventilating, like, crying. Like, we're fighting with each other because, like, none of us know how to get home. Courtney had just started a new job. Like, Shai had a final or something the next day at school, or midterm or something. So, like, we're all pissed at this time. And like I said, they're all saying, oh, we can't help you. We can't help you. So Shai called the 1-800 number, I think, either Shai or Megan. And they found one more flight that was leaving in like 20 minutes that was going from Nashville to Newark. So I call my mom back. I'm like, you know, that flight that we were supposed to take, they accidentally canceled it, but we're getting on a flight in about 20 minutes. And we'll be there about like a half hour later than we were supposed to be, which worked out good because my parents had to travel from Albany to Newark in a car, which took them like 3 hours. So finally, everything was going to work out. We got on the plane. It was the tiniest plane. I've never seen a plane like these United planes. Like, literally, there's like 2 seats on one side and 1 seat on the other side. The smallest plane. Somehow me and Shai got to sit next to each other, even though, like, we last minute got these tickets. They were like double the price. I think we paid $400 just to get home, when the round trip originally was $500 something, like $550. We paid $400 just to get home. So we did that. We made it home. I didn't get to my house until about 2 a.m. I'd say. Took a shower, unpacked what I needed to unpack, went to sleep, woke up the next morning at 7 a.m., went to work, went straight from work to my grandfather's wake. So that was literally the worst weekend of my life. I hate Nashville, probably because of that reason, but I will not ever return. Sorry to Nashville, sorry to people that like Nashville. I will not go back. I have PTSD from it. Like, I'm not even joking you. Like, I can't even think about it. I wanted to tell this story because, you know, I thought it would be interesting for Wine Wednesday. I was trying to think of an idea for Wine Wednesday, and this is all that came to mind. So, and like I said, we paid all that money, so we're like filing like disputes against United to try to get our money back on the second half of the trip. So I ended up getting like, I think like a little less than 200 or right around 200 for the second half of the trip because they, like I said, they accidentally canceled it. But then I told them, like, I kept filing disputes saying
Mom, I'm trying to film.
I kept filing disputes online and like writing to them saying basically like I was forced to pay that $400 to get home. I want to be reimbursed for at least half of that. Like, it wasn't my fault that they canceled the whole second leg home, blah, 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 that I had to make it to my grandfather's wake. It was their mistake, and that resulted in me having to pay that money, and that they weren't helpful. All these different people kept like emailing me back saying different things. No one would talk to me on the phone, or they would like transfer me and like nothing would get cleared up. I ended up tweeting them on Twitter, which obviously they don't like the bad like hate on social media, even though this is basically hate on social media towards United. Thank you very much. But they weren't happy with that, so like right away someone tweeted me back, like they DM'd me, and they're actually the ones that like got me involved with like this other phone number, and I ended up getting maybe all together between the first leg of the trip and the reimbursement from that $400. I think I got back maybe like a little over $300 or something, so I still ended up wasting about $200 from that trip home, but you know, I made it to my grandfather's wake. That's all that matters, I guess, and that was literally horrible. Thank you to my mom and dad for driving 3 hours to Newark to save me. Yeah, so basically, do not ever take United. Like I said, my travel agent will not let anybody book through her like United. She said this one lady was begging her to book like a United flight to go visit her son or something, and she wouldn't do it. Like she was like, I'm not doing that, because she knows how horrible it is, and she's a travel agent, so she didn't want to do that for her client. So I'm just telling you right now, pay the extra money and take a different airline. I'm done with airplanes for now. Our next trip is a cruise out of New York City, so we're not taking an airplane probably until like our wedding. So thank you, United, for ruining that for me. That was great. But besides that, you know, it was a fun girls trip. But that pretty much ruined it for me. So I will not be returning to Nashville, and I will never, ever, ever in my life take United again. So as I was filming this video, this is like the first time I've like ever really talked about my grandfather, but as I was filming this video, I got a text from my dad, and it was, he was at my grandmother's house, and it was a picture he sent me that my little cousin wrote. It's a note to my grandfather, so I just want to read this really quick. It says, "Dear Papa Waters, hello. I hope you've been having a good time. So I've been wondering if you were still here. How many times have you been hurt? I have been hurt probably 13 times. Maybe I'm guessing more though. 50 for you? I don't know. Can you write back? I hope so. I'm about to go bowling. What are you doing today? Maybe you can send a sign. Not a real sign though. We have finished going bowling. Now we are at Bubble celebrating you. It's pretty cool here. We were just about to give you flowers where your grave would be, but there was a hole. Is that where you are? You know what? I think that was your sign. I've probably been writing this for like 1.5 hours now. Anyway, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. We will always love you. Love, Nathaniel." And then it says IDK means I don't know, in case you were wondering. I just thought that I would share that because that's kind of a coincidence that I was literally filming a video on my grandfather, and like I said, this is like my first time like really talking about what happened. And now, like I said, like I just got that text from my father, so I thought I would include that. It's really cute that my cousin wrote that, so I hope you enjoyed.